Now we're recording.
Now we're
All right. Welcome back to Embrace the Storm podcast. Number, I have no idea, with my co-host, Jeremy Weens. It's been a minute since we've been on, and due to some life changes we may or may not talk about. And it's been good, though. As you can tell, I'm a little dressed up.
Why does it always look like you're sitting way lower than I am? Like, I feel like you should just shrink down a little bit, or...
I think your chair might be a little bit higher.
Oh,
Also, you are a bigger dude than I am.
I am a bigger dude than you. I guess there's...
But I also was slouching, I think. So
Okay.
this isn't... It doesn't look like I'm
yeah.
But we are back, and I'm going to try, with your help, to get back on some sort of cadence with these things, because we were trying to do them once every 2 weeks. We were very diligent, and then life has happened over the last year. Not last year, last 6 to 8 months. And we've gotten off cadence, so we're going to try and do better.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Now it's quiet.
I don't know if you'll be able to hear that on the audio, but that's fine.
Now it's quiet.
I don't know if you'll be able to hear that on the audio, but the heater just kicked off.
We're in Manitoba. We need a heater. It's October.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Although it's been a very nice October. Like Halloween is looking like it's not going to rain or snow or nothing. So.
Or I haven't even looked that far ahead yet.
Yeah, it's going to be good. But we are back, and we're excited to be back. Got a great topic for our, I want to say first one back, but we've done that a couple of times.
Well, let's get into life. Like,
Yeah.
what's changed? We talked about that a little bit. So why don't... You've had a lot of changes going on.
Oh,
so
my God.
let's start with you.
All at once, working on my life, basically, is sort of the boiled down version. So working on my financial health with my wife, working on where our mortgage is and what our debt load looks like, and just getting things in better shape for the future, because time marches on. We don't get any younger. Our kids don't get any younger. And I don't want to be in the same financial place. Kind of like we talked about at the beginning of the year. You know, I don't want to end the year in the same spot I started the year.
Well, you definitely take some big steps in that regard.
Yeah, and it feels really good. We're just about done. By the end of the week, we'll have that all squared away. And, or by the end of this coming week, I should say. And then I started a new job, which is very exciting. Most importantly, it's much closer to where I live. So instead of a long commute, I have a very short commute. Still, it's still a commute, but it's a much shorter commute.
It's not that bad.
But it's not like just so like I'm not walking to my basement.
Right.
You know, like I still have to get up and drive, go to an office, but it's a much shorter commute. And that was one of my goals in looking for a new job, was obviously a new position back in my wheelhouse, more money, potentially more freedom, but most importantly for me, being closer to home. Because again, kids aren't getting any younger, activities get more busy as they get older, it seems, and I didn't want to be an hour plus away. So that's it's been really good. For the first time in 8 or 10 years, it's rough math, I've had to dress nice. It's been a while. Like, it's been 8 or 10 years since I haven't just worked for myself or in a shop of some kind. So, you know, what you do there versus what you do in an office setting a lot of times is very different. So hence the nice shirt and hair done. Although with the backdrop, I don't know if you can really see that. I guess you can tell I'm not wearing a hat. But it's been really good, and along with that, part of our conversation this evening, our topic, we'll talk a little bit about this, but also working on a reinvention of sorts. But enough about me. You've had a lot of things go on too in the last while.
You're not the only one who switched. I think since we last did a podcast, I had no intention of switching brokerages at that time, but life happened, and it was a decision I made. I had to.
It was a quick one.
It was a quick one.
Yeah.
Like and sometimes those are the best, where whether it's the right one or the wrong one, I'm going to make it, and it's going to be the right one no matter what. So, and I think it'll be leaps and bounds better for me. I think the direction of the company is really good. The brokerage, I think
it's a young brokerage with some young blood in it, or not maybe young, but energetic blood.
Yeah.
Which I think for you is right up your alley.
Yeah, they're heading in a good direction. I like the trajectory of where they're going. So I'm pretty pumped about it, and that's going to be good. I have been, and that always comes with a lot of extra work. Let's not
Yes.
kid ourselves. So still learning a few things there, which is a process you got to learn. And then not only that, I had a little bit of a incident, having a little bit of a procedure done, and also that kind of just something went a little bit haywire there that wasn't supposed to happen. So that put me down for a week solid. But even now, I'm still feeling the out.
Well,
effects of that.
Frankenstein's monster, we brought you back from the dead.
Yeah, well, that's about where it was at, right? So it kind of got a little scary there. Not a lot of people know to what extent, and that's all right. But
That's okay.
now 3 of us know.
All one of our listeners.
Yeah. So yeah, but with all that, then life has just been moving on. We just went through Thanksgiving here in Canada, and it's just been a great time to reflect and actually what are we thankful for, right? And yeah, so that's.
You know, I had coffee with a friend of mine, and his mom recently passed, and it just, as typically happens when you have something like that happen in your life, it gives you pause. You reflect on, what am I doing with my life? Where am I going? And I feel like there has been a lot of that in my life lately. Not that I've lost people, but there's been a lot of this reflection on time. Like, where is my time going? How much time do I have left? Where am I going in life? What's my direction? All these things related to time have really been coming up. And so it's interesting that the topic we're talking about tonight, because it kind of dovetails into that of how we're using our life.
Yeah. Well, let's dive into it.
Yeah, let's do it. So tonight, Jer had come up with a topic. We typically banter back and forth, but tonight, not even going to banter. I liked his topic. So tonight, the topic is going to be, what is your standard? And it's a timely topic.
Yeah.
We know some of the things we're coming off of, health things and the different things that I've been trying to do with job and finances and such.
Yeah. Well, and I'm just going to, what kind of led me to this one is,
Set it up.
yeah, so today or yesterday I was on TikTok or whatever else. I saw this reel by Tony Robbins, and I was like, and he was just talking about what you focus on, right? If you look at all the brown stuff in the room, brown stuff, now what did you see that was red? And you're like,
There was red in the room.
yeah, right? And so they's like, well, look, you focus, but how many brown things that are brown do you see? Well, I saw lots, right? Yeah, but you were taking things that were beige, and they were calling them brown. You're now, when you said red, you're taking things that were like maroon, and now calling them, right? Like you're trying to find anything and everything to make that happen,
To
right?
put it in the box.
Yeah. So he's like, where you put your focus is where you're gonna be. I love that analogy. I think that's huge. And so that just got me thinking. And then all of a sudden again today, I went and looked up a video, and it's one of his from I think 2017. And one of the things, big point I took away from there is, what is your standard? And where, like, you will rise to the level of your standard, right? Or shrink to it, right? And so that was something that really hit me really hard today as I was driving around, and I was driving all over the place today. So that's what I was listening to, and it just really, yeah, it was really good. So that's why I thought, you know what, this is a good one for us. And
When you say the word standard, I immediately think of the military, right? The military has certain standards that you have to hold to be considered fit for duty.
yeah,
They have certain standards in different teams and things. And the standard does not care about your feelings. The standard does not care about your emotions.
if you're tired,
It doesn't care if you're tired. It doesn't care if you're broke. It doesn't care if you're hurt. The standard doesn't care. The standard is the standard. And you know what? That's immediately what I thought of when you said that to me here right before we were rolling. It was sort of a shock to my system, because it's, as we were talking before a little bit, something I'm working on or working through. It's getting up a little bit earlier again. Weird thing for me, but anyways.
but even there, like, so we're both switching into different jobs. Like I'm different brokerage, doing the same thing, but ultimately, I'm looking at that, and you're switching careers into something, right? Is starting out, what is your standard going to be? Where are you going to put it? What are you going to hold to? And so I think we got a few different points on that, but I don't want to get too far ahead, but where are we going to go with this, and what is it going to mean when we have our standard set? And yeah, so I think those are kind of the.
And again, and I've said this once, and based on our topic, I might say it a couple of times, but my thing this year, if you go back and listen to that episode on setting the tone for the year, was I refuse to be the man December 31st, January 1st, looking at my life going, I'm in the same spot, nothing has changed.
Yeah.
Now, I've gotten derailed this year. Things have happened this year. Some of it has been my own undoing, like mentally. I've just let things go. But I always got back up, and I always tried to push forward this year to make sure that December 31st, as we go into the new year, I'm not the same guy.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit before we go into too much. I can relate. I went through my own personal things. Like, this year was a rough year in many ways.
It's weird to look back.
But I'll say that, but it's also been one of the most rewarding years. And so coming through it, like, if I look at myself back in February, March, my confidence level, my ability to believe in who I am and what I'm capable of was at like an all-time low. Like, I felt like I was just torn down. And coming out, and that was rough. And then so I started building myself out of that, and just by the grace of God and a few other things that just kind of kept coming, I was able to really build out. And then summer came, and looking forward to just before summer, this big thing hits, and was not expecting that. And the one thing that carried me through that was the confidence I had in the character I built. I knew who I was. I knew what character I had. So it didn't matter what was said. I had confidence in my character, and that's carried me through. And now, even now, when things happen, it's not because of when I have a lack of confidence of what's going on. Because one, I know my confidence, I know my character, I know who I am, I know whose I am, I know like right, and I know where I stand on those things. So that doesn't break me right now. Like, and trials will come, but like I will still stand tall in that, right? But learning, continuously learning. This year has been a lot of learning. I'm going to keep developing my character. I'm going to keep learning how to become better, how to grow, how to achieve.
I think a year of learning is a great way to put that.
Yeah.
Because for me too, and we'll get into this in a little bit, a really good friend of mine who's been helping me build my confidence in who I am and my abilities, right? I mean, I have other friends helping me like you as well, but one in particular really is pushing me and basically being a bit of a jerk.
Yeah.
If he listens to this, he'll know who he is, and I love. But really pushing me, like, you're great, you were extremely capable, you're awesome at what you do, like, don't let people talk down on your worth and all this. Hold the line, basically.
Yeah.
For yourself. So I've really been working on that, and then the light of a new position, more back in my wheelhouse, more in my wheelhouse, back in my wheelhouse of skill sets. Really, with sort of that tunnel, that light at the end of the tunnel, sort of kick-started a deeper look at who I want to become, who I want to be perceived as, who I want my family, friends, kids to see me as. And so I've started over the last 3 months of like this sort of campaign of this is who I am.
Yeah.
This sort of my new personal campaign. I think old time World War II posters, we need you sort of thing. This is who I am now, and it's sort of reminding myself that I'm not the individual with low self-confidence anymore. I'm not the individual who second guesses his abilities anymore. I'm not that guy anymore.
Yeah.
It's very similar to yourself. And when you were talking, something that struck me was at various points in our life, we have this hard stuff that happens. You were alluding to something that happened this summer. And it just got me thinking, the confidence that we have in ourselves, in our abilities, it can be are in all of this wasn't built in comfort.
No.
Wasn't the confidence in who we are, in who we love, and all of this wasn't built in sitting around hoping for good things to happen. Most of it was built in the crap.
Yeah.
Most of it was built in
100%.
hard times, if not all of it. Actually, you know what? Screw it.
All of it. Yeah.
All of it. All of the confidence I have in my skills and abilities, all the confidence I have in who I am, has been built because I've had to deal with hard situations, hard people, hard times.
Yeah.
And then you fast forward, and again, while you were talking, I had the thought that people listening, you, me, we kind of had two options. Option number one was to go through those hard things and feel all the feels and sit on the couch and eat a tub of ice cream. The other option we have was to learn from it, take lessons from it, and do better. Whatever the circumstance was, those are your options. And I feel like throughout my entire life, and you as well, now that I've known you for so long, for whatever reason, we chose to learn and do better and be better out of the heart. Is that fair?
Yeah. So even I'll speak kind of something I've learned in church this last year has been talking a lot more of coming from a place of victory instead of going to a place of victory, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, and this is for Christians out there, is that thought of if we believe that God is for us and He's on our side and He's fighting on our behalf, and we believe God is always victorious.
Yep.
Why would we not? Because He is, right? So,
Yep.
So if God is for us, then who can be against us? And so if we already have, if we believe He is going to win this battle, and He has, so He has a victory. So the victory's already there. We just got to walk. We just have to take it. So now we actually have to believe that, hey, we're in this victory. So we got to fight for the victory, knowing that we're already going to win.
Yeah.
And from there, we can actually have a different stance on how we look at it. Because now you also have a confidence. It's like, I don't, it's not on my own strength. It's on God's. It's on His. And we just have to try our best to make sure we align with that. And like God, He'll sometimes let us go off and do our thing, and He'll correct us and He'll be there, but He doesn't abandon us. And so just that's something I really learned. So in gaining my confidence is knowing, like when I said whose I am, like that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like He's on my side, or like I'm on His side rather, right? And if I'm on His side, victory's already won. So now I can have that confidence. I can walk in that, and I can go into whatever challenge is knowing He's on my, like we're all on the same team, right? So
It's still going to be hard. It's still going to be messy. It's still going to be life.
it doesn't make it easy. It just means you have a place of victory to walk. You can walk with the confidence, knowing that you're going to come out all right. It may not be the way you think or the way you want. That changes.
Yeah.
But
I think a lot of us as men, we're hard-headed. And so God lets us go off in direction and we get hammered. And then we come back. Okay, I got it. And then we go back off in a different direction. Not the right one, just a different one. And we get hammered again. We come on back. And I always joke, that's me, because I'm hard-headed and I have to learn the hard way. But to your point, joking aside, I think so much of my life has been spent going, God wants to punish me versus, no, God loves me. Sometimes punishment comes along with that love, but it's
well, that's discipline,
it's not
not punishment.
It's exactly, it's not a default. Punishment is not the default mode. Yeah, discipline versus punishment.
Yeah.
Very good. But that's something that I've had to work on in my life is the idea that God loves me. He's not looking for reasons to punish me.
Yeah.
And so much of my life was spent out of that idea. Not that I was necessarily taught. It's just kind of what comes across. And we don't need to do a theology lesson here, but the point is that perspective matters.
It does.
Your heart matters. How you handle situations matter. Talking to my son the other day, being a leader means love and kindness. Doesn't mean you don't stick up for yourself, but you do so with love and kindness.
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes the love and kindness means someone needs a throat punch, but that's not the default.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's just it, right? Is we still are human. We're still making mistakes. We're still learning. We're still growing. We're still trying, and that's ultimately where we come from.
And that so much in this day and age again is teaching my sons like leading is love and kindness first, because so much of the world now is immediately up in arms about something, immediately saying unkind words, immediately taking the offensive.
Yeah.
And
Well, I'm actually reading a book all about being offended, and that's something where I just was like, man, that's like, it's an older book, which is interesting.
there's nothing new under the sun, man.
Yeah, man, but it's such a good book. I'm pretty impressed with it. So
That's good.
yeah,
It's just one of those things where like the schoolyard fights and stuff like that are not even worth it anymore. Just love and kindness, because that just goes down a rabbit hole that
Yeah.
that's not helpful for anybody. You know, it used to be when we were in school, you could duke it out on the playground and be friends after and move on to life.
100%.
Even into our early adulthood,
Yeah.
it was still like that. But
World's not like that anymore.
world's not like that anymore. So love and kindness, and I think too often, as men, we don't show ourselves love and kindness.
That's the challenge, right?
And so that's, I think, at least for me, that's where a lot of that negative thinking about God came from as well. Is I'm not nice to myself, so why don't God?
Yeah.
Which is completely the opposite
Yeah.
of what it actually is.
Yeah.
So moving on here into our discussion on standards. You had written down, are you reaching your potential or are you sitting in comfort?
Yeah.
So talk to me about being comfortable.
So, okay, I'll share a little personal story here, and this is kind of where a lot of this has really got me thinking. Is my girlfriend my girlfriend now, that is, she knows what she was looking for in a guy, and she knows what she wants, and she's not willing to settle, right?
Yeah.
And that was something very particular. Now, this is gonna out me a little bit. I thought, you know what, I'm pretty good. I do a lot of good things. Like I felt like I was really a decent guy and not like, trying to be a good person, right? Trying to do all the right things, this, that, right? And I got a little bit comfortable in that, right? And so in that, I allowed things, I just got comfortable and allowed things that I normally wouldn't allow to creep in, allowed things that I normally wouldn't think of to, and not that anything really came over and took action on anything, but I allowed things to seep in where it shouldn't have. And but I wasn't doing anything, so I'm still the good guy, right? But what that also did was that it allowed open doors for opportunities that nothing ever actually happened. And I never even realized it until we were kind of talking, and she pointed out to me, it's like, look, this is,
What about this or
what about
that?
this? What about like, and sure, it's not happening, nothing can happen now. But what about in 2 years from now? What about in 3 years? Because this turns into this, right? And it grows. And those standards, I was like, at first it's like, well, it's nothing, right? But then after kind of, okay, you know what? I'm very serious in this relationship and I want to, so I'll invest in it, I'll change, right? And I'll grow in that, right? And so I did, and then also looking back, I'm like, man, and so kind of some of those things that we first talked about initially, those are some of the things that kind of confused me, kind of brought me down a little bit. But when I started changing and started really working on them, really diving into them, that out of those things of actually cleaning up my character and saying, no, I don't want to be comfortable in this. I need to raise my standard.
Yeah.
Because I want to be the man that she needs. I want to be the man that we want to grow together with, and I want to do that. But not only that, let's say she goes away, if something happens, I still want to live a life at a higher standard than what I was, because why am I allowing these things to creep in, right? And so now after that, and I have no intention of, like, I hope this goes forever, right? And so, but the amount that I've raised the standard, because she has really shone light on some of those areas where I was just comfortable, and I thought this was my standard. Like I'm
I'm
doing
good.
good.
I'm good.
I'm good, right?
Yep.
I'm not doing anything really wrong, and I wasn't, right? But it was just like I opened up doors that didn't need to be opened, right? And so it allowed people in my life that I really, not that I really had too much to do with it, but they never really did anything, but they had no purpose in my life either. So
There's a wonderful business book that
Yeah.
speaks exactly to this, and it's funny because in some regard it could be a relationship book, but good to great.
good to great. I was thinking
You know?
that right away. Yeah.
And I think that that the title of that book speaks volumes to what we're talking about tonight on standards. Is are you willing to give up the good to go for the great? To your point that you had written down here, is are you good?
Yeah.
Are you comfortable? Are you sitting on your laurels? Are you a good guy?
Yeah.
Do you have a good job? You know? Do you have a good relationship?
Yeah.
Or are you working for a great relationship? Are you working for a great career? Are you working to be a great man?
Even there, like so.
Pursuit, by the way,
Yeah. So
not destination.
So even there, like when I switched brokerages, one of the things that I did was that thought of to stay where I was because of the circumstance that happened, is I would have to settle myself, humble, like in a sense, not that humbling yourself is wrong, but I'd have to lower my standard of what I would,
What you were going for.
what I was going, not really what I was going for, but what I'd be allowed to happen to me and how it'd be talked
Yes.
to, how it'd be, what I'd allow them to speak to me, right? And I wasn't ready to settle for that. So I had to make a choice. And that choice is I'm not going to stand for that.
Well, and that choice, I want to give you some props here, but also use it to illustrate a point. Is you made that decision very quickly.
Yeah.
That you were not going to allow yourself to be put in that situation, to be talked to like that, and to make it okay.
Yeah.
Because that would have been ultimately what would have happened. By you staying, you would have raised your hand and said, "Cool,
Yeah.
you can walk over." Basically.
Yeah.
You made that decision very quickly, and the interesting piece here is if you've listened to this podcast for a long while, or one listener, you'll know that's not always how Jer has rolled. Jer would have probably gone for coffee with me 2 or 3 times, talked to his girlfriend 2 or 3 times, prayed about it, gone to church on it a few times. And then you still would have switched, but you would have sat in.
Yeah. I would still be sitting there and
Yeah,
in discomfort and not
100%.
not feeling it.
Because I know that is your friend, because you have that pattern in your
Oh,
history. And so when you were like, "Oh, by the way, I'm switching," I only found out a couple of days before you were switching.
Yeah.
Because you only found out a couple of days before you were switching.
It was a week, and then I was like,
And-
from when I made the decision to when it happened.
And so this is going back to the lesson that my good friend has been being an asshole trying to teach me, is exactly this, is what are you going to let happen to you? What are you going to stand for? Are you going to let people talk to you like that? Are you going to let people treat you like that? You're better than that.
Yeah.
And so that's exactly where you were.
Yeah. And just to be clear, raising your standard does not come without consequences. Right? Like
Wow. Say that again.
raising your standard does not come without consequences.
Raising your standard does not come without consequences. The end. That's the end of the podcast. That was pure gold. Write that down. Because dang is it true.
Yeah. Because not everybody's gonna raise their standards with you.
No.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Not everybody's gonna understand what you're doing either. And some are gonna want to hold you back.
Yeah.
Because they're like, whoa, you're going too far. Don't come back down here. Like, this is where we're comfortable, right?
As two guys that have tried to raise our standards, I would say we've been working on it for the last couple of years.
Oh yeah.
I think we both have made more progress this year than in any previous year. But I understand and sympathize with those people that move to a brand new city without any friends, without any job, and they just go. Like that start over, you know?
Yeah.
I sympathize with that. I don't want to do it. I won't do it, but I understand.
Yeah.
Because exactly what you're saying, people aren't going to understand. There's going to be consequences. People are going to come and go in your life because of it. It's going to be hard. Like getting up and going to the gym every day for you is hard. Making sure you eat the right things is hard. Making sure that you don't allow people to treat you a certain way is hard.
Yeah.
Especially in our society today, it's almost the norm to just be like, yeah, whatever.
Be passive.
And whatever the question is.
Yeah, no, and you know what? Like, and we all know those people who are doormats, who are just going to be there and they're going to be
I was.
walked on, right? And that's the problem with that is, what do you get out of it? What do you get out of life? Then you become like, what is it, NCP or like
Oh yeah, non-playable character.
NPC, whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
Right? See, I was close.
Yeah.
Like,
I think we've talked about that
Yeah,
on
you
here
don't-
before.
I'm gonna say this could sound harsh, but you don't make a difference in life.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything. Why would you want to live a life without purpose? Why would you want to live a life without meaning? So how do you raise your meaning? How do you understand what that is? Is figure out what your standard is. And what is your standard going to be?
And I'm going to be sort of Jim Bro for 2 seconds here.
Do it.
But there are so many guys online, fitness type people on the internet, who will say, if you want to change your life, get in better shape. And I'm not in peak physical form by any stretch of the imagination. But I do know that my life, even if it's hard, feels better when I'm taking better care of myself.
Yeah.
And there is not a single person I follow online who their life did not increase in some area because they worked out, because they ate better. And the reason I say that is not because we're going to go down the gym rabbit hole like we so often tend to.
Right.
The point is that these people that I follow, even people that I know in real life that aren't even really on the internet, soon as they take better care of themselves, how they get talked to, what they put in their mouth, all of it. It's funny how their life gets better.
Yeah.
Job opportunities, business opportunities, relationship opportunities, all these things sort of happen. And I'm using that, air quotes here. They don't just happen. You're finally the person that is deserving of them.
Yeah. Well, you said that this year has been the most learning, the most growth, and
Yeah.
that.
I'm going to peek off camera here for a second.
Yeah.
Either that or show the crotch.
Okay. Well, and the challenge with that
Oh,
is it hasn't just been this year that this year's been the most growth, but it's because of all the back years of working through the grind that nobody sees, the day ins, the day out, the failure that we never showed. And now, not that we're hugely successful, but we're making changes at least, right? But it's starting. It's the momentum builds, right?
and I think episode 1 of this podcast, we talked about that, is so many people we watch online now who we genuinely enjoy watching and
Yeah.
following. We only started seeing them when they were at that big life point.
Yes.
And we wanted to build a narrative, a story, a podcast around we're doing this with you, was the idea.
Yeah.
Right? We're not perfect. We're not rich. We're not six packs. We're not the big house, cars, all that crap.
But we're learning.
But we're learning and growing. And one day we'll get to whatever that version means to us.
Yeah.
Right? Like for me, it's not big house, cars. I could care less.
Yeah.
But we're going to work towards whatever that means for us. And I can tell you for certain, because the work I put in, that come December 31st, I will not be the same man that started this year. Am I close to where I want to be? Heck no. I got work to do. I still got work to do now, and we're at the end of October.
Yeah.
Or coming up on the end of October.
Yep.
And you and I were just talking about our standards the other day about being accountable. But the point is that we have been putting in the work, and I think for me, there have just been a couple of things happen in my life in the last year-ish, year and a bit. I'm just sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of being treated a certain way. I'm sick and tired of making certain money. I'm sick and tired of not getting ahead career-wise,
Yeah.
all of these things. And it was sort of some of those sick and tired moments over the last year and a bit where I've just gone, no, it's time to move, time to change, time to figure things out, time to say things, do hard things.
Yeah.
And I think going back to my point before is your confidence in your greatness grows in the hard things. And sometimes those hard things bring you to a point of enough is enough.
You got to find your rock bottom in a sense, right? And that's different for everybody.
Yeah, I'm not living a bad life. I'm not unhappy with my
No.
life by any stretch, but I hit some of those points.
Yeah, and your low point is going to be different than the next person, and the next person, the next person, and my low points are going to be different than yours, right? And it just, but we have to figure out what that is, and maybe as we have our standards, and this is where coming back into that is, are we leveling up to our standards, or are we dropping, right? And if we're dropping too much, well, why wait till we hit rock bottom? Let's figure it out before we get to that point.
So that was a perfect segue into what we wanted to talk about as we get to the top of the hour here is, should you lower your standards? And as soon as you said this to me before, I immediately thought about ladders. So I don't know why, but I think sometimes you have to build it in your standard in rungs. Like, you're not going to go from being 200 pounds overweight to a six pack overnight. You're not going to go from, a couple $100 in your bank account to $1 million in your bank account overnight. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so you're not going to change your standards from never going to the gym to going to the gym 7 days a week overnight. You're not going to go from making $20 an hour to making $100 an hour overnight. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so, do I think you should lower your standards? Yes, but yes, you should lower your standards if you're starting out now. If today is day zero, and your standard is I'm going to make $1 million a year, that's not where you're going to start.
I'd say no, you shouldn't. But if you're get to your standards,
yes.
so I'd change that up a little bit.
So, something I found helpful for myself is early on in my self-development journey, we'll call it, I wrote down that I wanted to make $240,000 a year, and I had very specific reasons on why I want to do that. Things I want in my life.
Yeah.
I still want those things in my life.
Sure.
But if you're making, I don't remember exactly what I was making when I was doing that math, but let's say, you're starting out making 45 grand a year. You're not going to go from 45 grand a year to 250 grand in a week.
No.
In a month. It's just not going to happen. So I would write that out, and don't get me wrong, that's a great goal. I still want those things for myself. But I also took a step back and went, what is the first rung on the ladder to go from, again, I don't remember what I was making, 45 to 60,
yeah,
50, or whatever. And that's how I've started thinking about those things. Is, can I dress a little bit better? Can I eat a little bit better? Can I go to the gym more than once a week? Can I?
Yeah, well, and even there, like, I talk to guys, and I try to encourage guys when they go to the gym. Like, I'm pretty consistent. I go 5-6 days a week. I've done that now for 2 years of consistently going to the gym.
You're to that point now where it's weird if you don't go to the gym.
Yeah, so I was a little bit in a slump, be weird because after my little incident there, I was out for about a week and I couldn't go to the gym. That wasn't happening, and I went back to the gym and I was just like,
You weren't feeling.
I wasn't feeling it, right? And then this last week I was going again. I still was like, I'm just not. And this will be a little bit of a brag, but it's kind of where my mindset shifted. Is my standard is here, and so I watched the video of a guy I know, and he was so pumped because he was doing his personal record of a bench, and it was good. It was like 250, right? And so he was so pumped about it. I'm like, that's amazing, right?
Yeah.
And afterwards, I was thinking about that. I'm like, that's what I did my sets at the gym. like 3 sets of that, right? And I was like,
Well, feeling off.
feeling off, like,
Yeah.
feeling like, I was like, that's, so my standard for myself is higher than what I thought, like, right? And I'm
Yeah.
achieving it. And maybe sometimes we don't realize where our standards really are. Taking
Yeah.
a step back and really analyzing that, and then realizing, you know what? Maybe I do need to set them higher, or maybe I do need to adjust them for now
I think
lower, so that way, because this is my circumstance right now. If
Yeah.
I can get to this, that's good.
Yeah.
And that'll be good for now. And if I achieve that, then I can go here. While you're feeling good and everything's well, you can set your standards a little higher away, further away from you, so you can reach. When you're in a slump or where you're really working through life, set them closer together. So, you know what? I need to make $5 an hour more over the next 6 months. How do I do that, right? Or I need to figure out a way to bring in X amount more income. Or I need to lose 5 pounds more this month.
Yeah.
And start putting those little things into place and start stacking those little wins. And then those little wins stack up, and also the next thing you know, you have big victories.
So the interesting thing that just came to mind while you were talking, because I completely agree with you, but habits build standards.
Yeah.
Habits build standards. So if your standard is that you go to the gym 5 days a week, you have to build a habit of going to the gym before you can hold that standard.
Yeah.
If you're going to make more money every single month or every hour or whatever the case is, you have to build the habit of showing up early, doing a little bit more. That you have to build the habit before you can hold the standard.
Yeah.
And what was interesting to me while you were talking is you have built this habit over the last 2.5 years of I go to the gym every day, basically.
Yeah.
And so that's no longer your standard because you just go to the gym. You don't need to hold that standard anymore. So you holding a standard now, this is your new standard to me, is being very specific in the gym, right? Over the last year, you've dialed in your plans. You've dialed in what you're trying to accomplish at the gym.
Yeah.
Now, again, this last couple of weeks with some things, you've just had to show up.
Yeah.
And that happens.
Yeah.
But the point I'm making is we have to adjust our standards when we're starting out. And sometimes because of life circumstance, we have to adjust along the way. But more importantly is once you've built a habit that helps you hold the standard, it's now time to do more.
Yeah.
Because it's not the destination, it's the journey. It's not the journey, it's whatever,
Yeah.
right? You know what I'm trying to say? It's so true. Because we're never going to be perfect. We're never going to make the most money in the world. We're never going to be the greatest because there's always someone doing more, someone making more.
Yeah.
There's always more to do. And so you go to the gym 5 days a week, 6 days a week. Well, you can't go to the gym 10 days a week because there's not 10 days in the week.
Yeah.
So then the standard moves.
Yeah. Yeah. And just adjusting to, okay, so what does it look like now? Even in business, what does it look like now? And also the standard can shift from I need to do this much in business to also actually I want to be with my family a little bit more.
Yep.
So you could have a shifting in where you are and what your focus is on, right? And like this last summer, my winter and spring were very dedicated to building business and making that. My summer was dedicated to family and taking time off.
Yeah.
And now my fall is back into start getting back into work again.
Yeah.
And really dialing it in, and once again, it's just shifting from one to the next and kind of building that up, so that way we grow with that, right?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And I think it's a matter of making sure that you hold the line. So an example I've thought of here is I follow a couple guys who they do a lot of travel, but they work out every single day. That's part of their standard. Part of their habitual nature is to work out every day. But when they're on the road, they don't have the perfect circumstances, the perfect setup. They don't necessarily have the perfect gym, all of that.
Yeah.
But you know what they do? They throw down a towel in the hotel because the hotel doesn't have a gym necessarily, and they get after it with squats and burpees and push-ups and all these things, and they get their workout in.
Yeah.
And so something that we need to be very clear on is if you are holding a standard, you want to hold a standard, it means holding that standard long after those feelings, those emotions have left, after the circumstances have gone to crap.
Yeah.
If you have a bad day at the office, you don't go, I'm going to sleep in tomorrow because I had a bad day at the office. You get up and go to the gym, no matter what.
Yeah.
Right? And I just think that habits and standards are that line that you hold no matter what. And so to your point, it may float, right? But the standard is that you work out. So sometimes that means doing burpees on a towel in a hotel, right?
Yeah.
Not at your gym with the cold plunge and the hot sauna and the treadmill time and all of that.
Yeah.
You do what you got to do and you get it done with what you have available.
Yeah.
And I think that, although that's a gym example, that could be true for anything. What, if you're on the road for business or you got to do a lot of driving the one day, you can't be in the office.
Yeah.
You have
still make your calls. You can still do while driving. You can
That's
still do
exactly
those
where I
things.
was going.
You listen to the podcast, that's actually going to build your mindset instead of walking out to some music or listening to the ball game or whatever you're into, right? Like, there's still options to find ways to better yourself, to raise your standards, to keep your standards.
Yeah.
You don't have to let them drop.
So let's end here because I want to wrap up in the next couple minutes here. To build a standard, to build habits that build standards, to hold lines, I have to know where I'm going.
Yeah.
Because gym 6 days a week is not for me.
Yeah.
But to reach my goals, I need to be there at least 3 days a week. Gym, workout, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
Eating goes along with that. If by the end of the year I want to make X number of dollars, that means I have to do such and such a month. Right? I have a clear understanding of what I'm trying to accomplish by the end of the year. And now, for some of you, if you're just starting out, this could be between now and this time next year. So your 12 months starts today, right? So October to October, kind of like when you have stupid fiscal years.
Yeah.
But you have to get clear on what you're trying to accomplish. And it doesn't have to be 500 grand in a year. It doesn't have to be a six-pack in a year. But if that's where you're trying to get to, we got to break those steps down. So if you want a six-pack, but you haven't been in the gym in years, we got to start showing up to the gym and at least walking on a treadmill.
Yeah.
As a starting point.
Yeah. Well, you got to also, as much as it is important is to know where you're going, you got to know where you are. Be honest. And that self-reflection of, okay, having to step on that scale for that first time and knowing full well that this is not going to be fun. And it's, whether it's going to be a few pounds heavier or 20 pounds heavier or whatever, doesn't matter what it is, you got to start there.
Financials are the same thing.
Yeah, you got to sit down, do your budget, know where you're at. And it's something I'm in the middle of going through right now is figuring out budget of where am I at, where do I want to go, what's going to happen, what's that look like? And it's a struggle because sometimes some months it's way better, some months it's way harder, right?
Well, and for my wife and I right now, like I've made some major financial decisions over the last few months, and that's meant that my wife and I have to move a bunch of things around.
Yeah.
And I'm in a place where I actually have no idea what's going on with my financial situation. I will in a week. I've been calmed down. But the point is that I made some big moves because I did exactly what Jay was talking about. Is I sat down, I looked at all of my financials, and I kind of had an oh crap moment where I was like, I don't like where this is right now.
Yeah.
And if I don't do something about it, I'm going to be in the same place a year from now on the struggle bus. I don't want to be on the struggle bus.
Yeah.
And so I made some decisions and started moving things around that have moved the needle in my life. Maybe one day we'll talk about it. But for now, that's, I got to be vague. But once those things get put into place, I then can sit down, and my wife and I, we've already got a plan of how we're going to be moving things around once everything comes together. And that's going to mean 12 months from now, my family is going to be in a completely different financial place.
Yeah.
We're not rich, not driving Lambos, none of that. but we're gonna have a better financial outlook a year from now than what we do today.
For sure.
And it's exactly what Jared was talking about, where I sat down and I went, where am I? Because I don't know if it was a podcast or an audiobook I was listening to, but exactly what you were saying is this person I was listening to was saying, you need to take a full deep dive audit on every area of your life, where you're at. Because you can only start moving forward, putting new pieces in place, if you know where you are.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure that there's 100 different people that have said it.
Yeah.
But that one, the way this person said it, really hit me, where I wanted to sit back and actually look through my financials.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's exactly right. You got to know where you are.
Yeah. So let's go with the takeaway.
So takeaways tonight from me are, actually we didn't even talk about this, but this is my takeaway: is find yourself a battle buddy.
Yeah.
If Kyle Thompson calls it a foxhole friend, foxhole buddy, someone that you can call at 2 a.m., someone that is going to tell you that you're full of crap.
Yeah.
When they need to, so find yourself someone that you can go into battle with, whether it's financial, physical, spiritual, whatever area that you need to work on. Someone that can hold you accountable, someone that you can hold accountable. You can call on your crap, they can call you on your crap, and really just start moving forward. Because I think you and I both would agree, you can go pretty good by yourself, but if you really want to go the distance, you need good men around you.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's my big takeaway from tonight, as we've been talking about building habits and standards, is find someone to do battle with.
Yeah, I think that makes it a lot easier, because, like, going back to that, what I said earlier, is like, when you raise your standard, it's going to have consequences. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
And when you make those choices, if you have somebody with you, and maybe make sure it's somebody who's either already there or going there.
Yeah.
Not somebody who's gonna let you settle.
Yeah.
The worst thing you could do, settle. Don't want that. Don't need that. That's never gonna get you anywhere. Right? And that's something I've learned so much this last year. Is don't settle, but grow.
And if you're wondering how to find those people around you, like if you're not quite sure, I want to go back to your non-playable character reference. So if you look around you and you see guys who every single night are watching Netflix, who every single weekend are partying it up, or whatever the case is, that's probably going to be your non-playable character, right? You want to look for the John Wicks, the James Bonds, Jason Bournes, and I don't mean that they're out there killing people CIA style. What I mean is people that are the star of their life, that are really trying to push the envelope in different areas of their life and build a legacy.
Yeah.
Those are the people that you're looking for. And again, like Jer said, they could be working on it right now, or they're already there.
They show up at the strangest of places, so
Isn't that
you'll
the
never
truth?
know where you're going to find them, but they are there.
Yep. Get out there, look for them. We love you. We're here for you. See you next time.